Welcome back. Up next, we're moving on to the first keynote of the day. I'd now like to pass the virtual podium on to one of our platinum sponsors, FortisBC, to introduce our next keynote.
My name is Doug Slater, and I'm the Vice President of External and Indigenous Relations at FortisBC. FortisBC has been involved with the BC Natural Resources Forum for many years. We also have strong links to the community of Prince George, employing 105 in the region, and look forward to when we can again gather safely in person. We look forward to supporting dialogue on these important topics and talking about our role in building a stronger economy, improving affordability, advancing reconciliation, and combating climate change in British Columbia. We employ more than 2,500 employees across the province and proudly deliver renewable energy, natural gas, and electricity to 1.2 million customers. In 2018, we released our Clean Growth Pathway to 2050 that outlines our role to help BC achieve its 2050 climate targets. We are continuing to significantly invest in our infrastructure to ensure we have reliable and affordable energy to serve our customers. Most importantly, we are committed to Indigenous relationships and reconciliation and actively invest in Indigenous communities, job training, and recruitment. We have a long history of working with Indigenous business leaders and partners and are guided by our Statement of Indigenous Principles and recognize the calls to action of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada. We support the continued growth and prosperity of Indigenous communities. With that, it's my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Sue Paish, the CEO of the digital technology Supercluster.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be part of the Natural Resources Forum once again. I remember fondly the forum in Prince George in January 2020. It seems like a generation ago. We were all together in person, navigating frozen sidewalks and snowdrifts and enjoying the warmth and hospitality we always see when we're in Prince George. We were also hearing for the first time about a strange health scare in Asia. And here we are some 24 months later, now with the second virtual Natural Resources Forum. We're certainly much more educated about health matters, more than we ever thought likely in 2020. And we're also much more attuned to a suite of other topics that a mere 2 years ago were nice ideas and now are pressing global and domestic priorities. This is an exciting moment for Canada and indeed for the world. Our world is being redefined. COVID, human rights, and climate change are changing pretty much every element of how we plan, live, do business, and look at the future. We can choose to see these as scary issues over which we have little or no control, or we can see them as an opportunity for Canada to shine, to grab and claim an advantage, and to leapfrog into global leadership positions. I know it's early in the new year, and you may be thinking that I'm seeing sugar plums and dreaming of Santa, but I'm not. In Canada, we have everything we need to be a global economic leader, with a prosperous and vibrant economy populated with startups, innovators, growing mid-sized companies, and multinational leaders. And this is especially so when it comes to our natural resources sectors. Getting there from where we are today demands at least two big steps. One is collaboration, working together across sectors, industries, cultures, and perspectives to build solutions together better than any of us could do on our own. And secondly, digital transformation. Over the past 2 years, we've catapulted past the perspective that there's a digital economy over here and a real economy over there. There's the economy. And all elements of our economy, and indeed all elements of our society that are functioning and growing, are doing it through digital solutions. And they're doing it years or even decades faster than anyone imagined possible. The pandemic, climate change, and the commitment to inclusion have taught us many things, including that Canadians can adapt quickly, will work together to build exceptional solutions to wicked problems. We're cautious to a fault. We can move fast when we need to. We can focus on results without compromising our credibility. And Canadians know how to innovate and invent better than almost anyone on the planet. We also know what it takes to accelerate inventions and innovations into jobs, sustainable future, and economic growth and prosperity. How can I say all these things? Because in the Supercluster, We've been doing this with many of you since 2018, way back when digital was an aspiration, when the health system moved at a snail's pace, and when sustainability was a laudable medium-term goal, and when few knew what epidemiology was. When we look more closely at combating climate change, for example, Canada has a distinct advantage. And it's you, our natural resources sector. This sector has powered our economy, kept Canadians working, built communities and indeed regions across the entire country, and defined the international presence for this country for decades. But there's a challenge. Our traditional practices in exploration, extraction, harvesting, processing, and manufacturing, in some contexts, have fallen short in meeting today's rapidly advancing need to reduce emissions, create green jobs, and be globally competitive in a challenging and evolving regulatory environment. To be a global natural resources leader, we need to move faster than we've ever moved before. And we can do this, just as we have in many other sectors, condensing historically years or even decades-long processes into months or weeks, and delivering solutions better together than any of one of us could do if we were working on our own. Sustainable extraction and harvesting practices and global leading processing are just the start. We can build new resource industries that are global leaders and the beacon of skills development and talent attraction. Sugar plums again? No, not a chance. Accelerating economic recovery, securing our future prosperity, and attracting anchor investments in key areas demand that we think differently. Just as the pandemic forced elements of the health system and retail to leapfrog over ancient systems, cultures, and procedures, to accelerate results in vaccine discovery, online retail, and virtual work environments, in our natural resources sector, we must couple Canada's rich natural resources with a digitally skilled talent pool and a collaborative approach to innovation with a constant focus on delivering outcomes at speed. This trifecta is going to drive growth, safety, inclusiveness, productivity, and environmental sustainability, not just now, but for generations to come. So that's the opportunity and the imperative. Now here's the reality. Well, in some sectors, Canada has moved fast over the past 20 months. It's not so in business, research, and development. Canada's investment in BIRD, or business expense in research and development, has been moving in the wrong direction for a long time. And over the past 20 months, investment in R&D overall across Canada declined, while in virtually every other OECD country, investment in R&D increased, and in some contexts, many-fold. The result is that, with a few exceptions, Canada is lagging in the essential research and development critical to fuel many of the inventions and innovations foundational to our future prosperity. This is not the course that we can be on. It needs to change, starting with our strongest sector, and that's you. We can and we must reverse that, while at the same time de-risk industry's investment in new inventions and innovation, and accelerate the delivery of new technologies and innovations that will allow our natural resources sectors to thrive now in the new digital world. As the CEO of Canada's digital Supercluster, I see every day what can happen when industry comes together to invest in R&D with a focus on rapidly delivering new or improving on existing technologies to provide better outcomes for specific companies, for industries, for sectors, and for communities. It's inspiring to see the willingness, the excitement, and the power that the over 1,000 industry and academic organizations we work with from across the country, as they unleash bold technology advancements that are fighting climate change, striving towards net zero, providing pathways for global leadership in forestry and mining, and building world-leading data platforms to anticipate and mitigate climate change-induced catastrophes. Across the over 80 projects that we are actively working on in our portfolio, we have teams of industry leaders working alongside small enterprises, academia, government, and community stakeholders, along with not-for-profits. Sometimes teams are as small as 3 organizations, and sometimes there are a dozen or more. These projects are delivering world-leading technologies across multiple sectors. So why don't I give you a few examples of those in the natural resources sector? Let's start with mining. Digital technologies are transforming just about every step of the mining process. Think about what it will take to power the global transition to wind, solar, electric vehicles, and other clean energy technologies. It's estimated that the production of critical minerals and metals essential to these developments will increase by nearly 500% in the next 30 years. The Supercluster is co-investing with mining industry leaders, SMEs, and academia at the forefront of critical mineral exploration, extraction, processing, and manufacturing. For example, Ideon Technologies out of Vancouver is working with Fireweed Zinc, SFU, MITAX, and BHP to advance technologies that will provide an X-ray potential to deposits up to 1 kilometer beneath the Earth's surface, and will allow for mining exploration companies to identify density and magnetic anomalies with greater resolution and certainty than ever before. This technology will reduce cost, time, risk, and the environmental impact of the hit and miss drilling that we've historically done in the exploration process, while increasing the certainty and the discovery rates in a landscape that historically has been characterized by uncertainty. In another context, the Supercluster is working with a consortium of leading mining companies, UBC, Genome BC, and others to explore the potential application of genomics and microbiomics in the extraction processes in place of using chemicals. Stay tuned for more on this one. There's going to be an announcement. In forestry, our BC forest sector, as we know, contributes nearly $13 billion to our GDP and supports more than 100,000 jobs. It plays a key role in leading the province's economic recovery. Examining resource extraction processes such as timber harvesting through a digital lens can shine a new light on modernizing harvesting while improving efficiency, safety, and sustainability. Leading forest companies can spend about $250 million a year on timber harvesting. These costs keep going up. Through the creation of an industrial Internet of Things platform built through a collaboration that includes Mosaic, Canfor, and Limb Geomatics, a network of smart devices allows various contractors, machine operators, forest managers, and others to monitor the productivity of timber harvesters, identify bottlenecks along the whole end-to-end harvesting process, and adopt best practices from cut to customer. This translates into improved productivity and global competitiveness and supports sustainability by reducing the energy consumed through harvesting. Let's turn quickly to freshwater management. With the global supply of fresh water under constant threat from climate change and increasing demands from humans and industrial uses, we attracted a large group to see how digital technologies could help us better monitor and manage our freshwater systems across the country. And we do have 20% of the world's fresh water in Canada. Carl Data Solutions is working together with Tech Resources, Microsoft, Astra Smart Systems, I4C Innovations, Living Lakes Canada, and the University of Victoria, along with Genome BC. And they're developing a digital platform for water monitoring that will allow us to truly understand and monitor the health of freshwater systems. This group is initially focused on the Columbia River Basin and understanding the importance of fresh water to your companies and your community across the country means that this platform can help all of us, your country, your communities, your companies, and our country, and the world, because the United Nations, as we know, has predicted water consumption is going to rise 85% by 2030, with demand expected to outstrip supply by more than 40%. Next, let's talk about mitigating and predicting climate change impacts. The ability to manage the sustainable development of over $585 billion in major resource projects over the next 10 years, and the increasing number of climate change challenges, such as floods, wildfires, and droughts that we've all seen, requires material advances in how we use geospatial analytics, satellite imagery, and remote sensing. Protecting our communities across BC requires investment in a climate data strategy and supporting technologies to ensure that the private sector and communities have access to data to inform planning and to use appropriately data to inform infrastructure investments. We've brought together Earth Daily Analytics, University of BC, Spark Geo, UVic, Microsoft, MITAX, and Geosciences BC. And together, these organizations are developing a shared data visualization platform to combine digital data sets from multiple sensors and assess risks related to climate change and extreme weather events. Interactive maps are going to show how a region evolves over time and can be used to guide city growth, environmental sustainability, and predict and help with response to disasters such as fires and floods. This is certainly technology whose time has come. Finally, let's talk about talent. The Internet of Things, machine learning, and artificial intelligence are changing pretty much every element of how you operate. And they're changing the skills your teams need to lead and drive your organizations. There's a huge need for digital skills training and certification that's connected to real jobs, the jobs of today and the jobs of tomorrow. As every element of your industries evolve, so too must the training, skilling, and skill development of your teams change, including making the sector more inclusive with opportunities for Indigenous peoples, women, LGBTQ+, and other groups underrepresented in the natural resources sector. Here's a few things we're doing on this front. I'll give you a couple of examples. A collaboration between BCIT, the College of the Rockies, and TEC is equipping students and employees with the digital skills to install and maintain remote telecommunication systems while preparing them to work with future innovative technologies. This project's focusing primarily on training women and Indigenous peoples and youth who are currently underrepresented in the field. And lastly, we're also focusing on working with Indigenous partners and communities to support the transformation from diesel fuel power to clean, renewable, and reliable energy by 2030. Many rural northern communities, such as the Lutselk'e Dene First Nation, are powered by diesel. As we know, this can be detrimental to both the environment and to the health of residents. Working in a partnership with the Lutselk'e Dene First Nation, BCIT, Siemens Canada, and the Lutselk'e Dene First Nation's wholly owned subsidiary, Denesoline, Indigenous communities in Northwest Territories are being offered online vocational training programs in clean energy power plants delivered remotely through a virtual experiential training platform. And this is creating Indigenous capacity to operate, maintain, and upkeep these clean energy microgrid systems. Is critical if we want our Indigenous communities to transform to these clean energy solutions. So here's a sample of the transformative work we're doing in the Supercluster in the natural resources sector and related spaces. And there's a lot more. I could go on all day, but you don't want me to. There's 72 projects that I've not mentioned, so I'll stop here and you get the gist. Our economy, our communities, your organizations, and our province and country's future are and will be defined in many ways by our resource-rich forests, fields, lakes, mountains, and oceans. We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to grab the mantle of global leadership as the world comes to term with combining economic success, productivity, environmental standards, climate change, and the need for speed. Through collaborative innovation and co-investment, industry and other partners are showing what can be done and done fast. We're creating technologies that are fueling business growth, improving productivity, driving sustainability, creating green jobs, and building skilled teams to drive success for natural resources companies and sectors. BC's natural resources sector, you, have an enormous opportunity to chart a prosperous, inclusive, sustainable, and sustained economic recovery and return to prosperity. We know that the collaborative approach to developing, scaling, and deploying digital solutions with co-investment and speed and a relentless focus on outcomes, it works. We're seeing results that will allow us to win the global race in this sector. The starting gun has gone off. The world's not going to wait for Canada. The opportunity is at your doorstep. Let's do this together. Thanks very much and have a good day.
Wow, thank you, Sue, for that insightful presentation.